Welcome back, everybody. Now, there's a massive reaction against the Road Accident Fund Amendment Bill of 2023. The Department of Transport has gazetted the amendment bill for public comment. The draft bill contains a host of proposed changes to how the Road Accident Fund will operate in South Africa, including a new set of limitations for claims. Critics are claiming that if the bill is passed, it will severely decrease the rights of drivers, passengers and pedestrians to claim compensation for motor vehicle accident injuries. To explain the significance of the bill and its aim and objectives, we're now joined on the line by the Deputy Minister of Transport, Lisa Mangcu. A very good morning to you, Deputy Minister. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning to you. Good morning to your viewers. Thank you for the opportunity.
I love your Springbok jersey, by the way, and it looks so damn good on you.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's cut to the chase now, Minister. The legal and medical aid fraternity claim this move will see the fund severely cut down on the support offered to road accident victims. So what are the primary motivations and goals behind the proposed changes outlined in the Road Accident Fund Amendment Bill?
Thank you very much once more. I think you said in your introduction the accusation is that it limits the rights of claimants and so forth, which we need to accept that every right has got limitations. And this Road Accident Fund has been on the news for, let's say, inverted commas, for the wrong reasons. A couple of years back, the first attempt was made to correct some things based on a commission's recommendation, which saw the introduction of what we called then is the RAPS bill, the Road Accident Benefit Scheme bill, which was not accepted by Parliament. Parliament instructed the Road Accident Fund and the department to rather look at amending the existing act. So these amendments didn't fall from the sky. It was an instruction by Parliament to the Road Accident Fund and the department. What happened then is that the department and the road accident put together a group of legal and medical experts to look at the existing legislation and see what can be improved.
Now, Deputy Minister,
now,
can you explain? Can you explain how the transition from a compensation model to a benefits model and how that will impact road accident victims and their ability to receive adequate support and compensation?
The argument by the Road Accident Fund, people who are specialists in this space have said that the Road Accident Fund is not an insurance as it has always been treated. And therefore, it needs to move to rather a social benefit, as you put it. In simple terms, many people now would claim a big lump sum of amount, X amount of money, and that must be paid within certain times, and there's a certain computation to get to those figures. The Road Accident Fund and the department is saying, no, this person is most likely to be in need of support for a longer time. Let's rather agree to a figure, and rather than give you a big 10 million rand, for example, let's give you X amount and over time make sure. But furthermore, let's reassess every active claim after a particular time. Because truth be told, with technology and medical science today, many people who might have thought they won't be able to work again, they might recover. How do we know when you have given them such a big amount of money? And this is an oversimplified one, but in essence, that is how the transition would apply if this piece of legislation is approved.
And what sort of considerations have been made, to ensure that these changes do not negatively affect the rights and the well-being of road accident victims, particularly those with severe injuries or disabilities?
Firstly, I think we must accept that a process of legislation in a democratic dispensation is a very transparent, open one. Hence, we are talking today. Hence, we are receiving the criticism. As I said before, a group of specialists met, put forward what they believed would be the ideal proposals. They have sent them out for public scrutiny and public comments. And therefore, this is part of the checks and balances to say, let's not just take our own view, let's throw it out there in the public and let's hear what are the opinions, which is some of the things we are dealing with today. The point I was making earlier is that there are roughly about 25 proposed amendments, but it's about 2 only that seem to be hitting a particular nerve. Nothing wrong with that. Every person has got a right to an opinion. But it would be nice if everybody who commentates on this could look at the draft bill in its totality. It would really be appreciated.
Now, could you explain the potential impact of these amendments on the affordability of medical aid premiums for citizens?
Well, I'm not a medical aid specialist. I don't know how they get to calculate medical aid, subscription fees. But what I do know is that the majority of South Africans who get involved in road crashes, who are subject to assistance by the Road Accident Fund, don't even belong to a medical aid scheme. So what do we say about them? So the draft bill does not look at medical aid beneficiaries or subscribers. It looks at a whole suite of who could be a potential victim of a road accident fund. So currently, as we speak now, Lisa Mangcu is the Deputy Minister of Transport. If my child gets involved in an accident, he or she is most likely to get more money than any person whose child or her child is, or rather whose parent is a laborer or a general worker somewhere in a place, in a farm, because they will look at the potential of a son or a child of a deputy minister. They are most likely to be this and that. Therefore, they will benefit more than a child of somebody who would not have been thought that their child could progress. So part of what these proposals are saying, let's level this rather than just look at those who have. Nothing wrong in having a medical aid, of course. I have one myself. But what about that person who doesn't have a medical aid? How do we take care of them?
Because, Deputy Minister, my understanding is that should this bill be passed in its current form, it'll do away with the reimbursement of expenses covered by medical aid or insurance. So will this not be unfair on the person footing the bill?
As I said again, I'm not a medical aid specialist, nor am I a lawyer. I don't want to claim to be one. But what I do understand is that as I subscribe myself now to a medical aid, if part of my benefit includes being taken care of by my medical aid in the unlikely event of a road crash, they pay me, I'm paying them installments, and this is really a layman's point of view. Why should I be bothered about them claiming back from the road accident fund? My primary interest for now is that I should be covered by my medical aid because I can afford one. Again, as I say, if what you are saying and what the medical aid scheme specialists are saying is indeed correct, what do we do? What is the proposal? What do we do for the person who's not on a medical aid scheme? Because now you are saying, pay for me in the medical aid, and thereafter go and claim from the road accident fund, and yet I've been paid. And again, I'm saying, let's look at an equitable system. Let's look at a system that looks at South Africans, rich, poor, and very poor, and say, how do we make sure that this fund is able to sustain itself? It is able to cater for the most vulnerable and the most rich in terms of road accident benefits in the event that they are involved in accidents.
And now regarding the proposed ban on the compensation for non-South African citizens or permanent residents, what's the rationale behind this decision?
The rationale is that one of the reasons that have put a lot of strain on the system itself are exactly those people who come from outside. Now, this is not just a blanket ban. It gives the Minister of Transport at the time to interact with his or her colleagues within SADC, within SACU, to find a proper means of paying for third-party claims or claims if anybody were to be involved there. So there are regulations to be produced thereafter, but the rationale, again, is to make sure sustainability of the system and primarily taking care of those who are South African citizens and those who are using our public roads. Because the dispensation of those who are cross-border users and so forth becomes totally different. But it is to make sure the sustainability of the scheme in a long term, amongst others.
So in short, the foreign nationals or non-South Africans, whenever they involve in an accident here in South Africa, then their country of origin should foot the bill in terms of compensation. Is that what he's saying?
It could be one of the final things that could be put in the regulations. I'm trying to get to the actual draft here clause. But yes, you might well be correct that it could mean that because that is generally what would happen in other jurisdictions.
Okay, so how will the proposed requirement for the pre-authorization of all future medical claims by the Road Accident Fund affect the processing and payment of claims?
The processing and payment of claims, in my view, is slightly different from the agreement on what is that ceiling or what is that threshold in terms of what should be the benefit for a particular procedure, if I'm hearing your question very well. But basically what the draft is proposing is that let us agree to say if we were to do knee replacements, what is the threshold? What could be the acceptable threshold, yes, in that space? However, the processing and the claim itself, and this would be done up front before you know what you are going to be paid. These agreements would be made to say this is what you are going to be paid and this is how it is going to be paid. So it should be a seamless process, including how you submit and so forth. So in a high level, I don't see them really affecting the duration or the process of that submission of the claim, but rather making sure that you know what to expect and how it will be coming to you.
All right, Deputy Minister, unfortunately, we're out of time, so I'd ask you to be as briefly as you possibly can in your responses. And my final question to you is, why was there a relatively short 1 month period for public comment on such a significant and complex piece of legislation? I mean, are there any plans to sort of extend this period to gather more input from stakeholders?
30 days is a normal standard publication time. If the need is there, there's never been any resistance to postpone or to extend the time. Mm-hmm. So it's a standard time, but it can be extended if need be.
All right, Deputy Minister, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That was the Deputy Minister.
All the way.
All right, of course. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that was the Deputy Minister of Transport, Lisa Mangcu, explaining the significance of the Road Accident Fund Amendment Bill of 2023.